Yeah. Good. That's good. Whenever you're ready.
Mike here?
If I can get it, I'll send it.
Do you want me to just stand right here? See, remember when I told you I put them? Because we talked about it, and everyone says it's true, and that's the cons, but remember I was telling you I heard it wasn't. So, he's gonna, it's good, and now we can conversate about it. So, yeah. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. I am Stacy Bastian. I'm the chair of the Rilanda Elverta Neighborhood Association. I'm also on the board for Twin Rivers, you might know, and a director for the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I think it's a really important night. We have a lot to cover, so we'll try and go as quickly as possible. If we want to do some quick introductions, if you can just say who you are, if you're affiliated with any groups or organizations, also if you're a resident of Rilanda or Elverta. We'll start right here.
John Todd, co-chair, Rilanda Online.
Jennifer Bodie, a resident. What else was I supposed to say? Oh, and I'm with Bodie Boxing, Bodie Family Boxing Academy.
There we go. Thank you.
Mike Heller, Rilanda, Alberta Recreation and Park District.
Michael Seaman, California Unincorporated.
Hi, I'm Cindy Sailors. I'm your director for Sac Metro Fire for this area.
Zane Meadows. I'm just here checking us out.
Thank you.
Kathy Shermer, resident of Rilanda and affiliated with the American Legion.
I think we have to talk close to here. I'm Susie Rathbun, a resident Rio Linda, and I'll just say I'm with the Rio Linda Lions Club.
There you go.
Roy Hickey, probably 18 to 20 years on CPAC, but my term expired January 31st, and I haven't got my new applications in, but they haven't got it back yet, so I'll miss Wednesday meeting.
I'm Sheena McGowan. I'm a Rio Linda resident, and I'm also on the CPAC.
Troy Golden, resident of Rio Linda, director on the Chamber of Commerce and director on Recs and Parks.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone again for being here tonight. And our old business will go pretty fast. We'll just kind of go over what we spoke about at the last meeting. I just want to remind everyone that our business watch went well at our February meeting. Those are going to be at Rio Java. They're the second Tuesday of each month. So basically, you do not have to be a business to attend. You can be a resident. Sacramento County Sheriffs are there. Night Watch Patrol was there. The DA is there. And it's basically to talk about any issues you are having with crime or 311, anything that you might want to bring up to the county. It was pretty productive. So again, the next meeting is going to be March 11th at 10 a.m. at Rio Java. And I have a flyer up here if you guys want to take a look at that. I also have reporting criminal activity, some important numbers they had at the meeting. There's extra copies up here if you guys are interested in that. And also, the second item was we brought up at the last meeting was the Sac Sewer with Sacramento County sewer project that's coming. A lot of you guys had questions about where it's going and how much it's going to cost, and that is going down Elkhorn Boulevard, down West 2nd to the Elkhorn Manor subdivision. So I have a map here that I can pass around to everyone. But I thought it was important to let everyone know that it is coming. So there will be major construction on Elkhorn Boulevard and going down West 2nd Street. One of the questions at the last meeting was, what does it cost to connect to public sewer? So I was able to get a quote from the Sacramento Area Sewer District with SAC sewer impact fees, engineering and construction for the sewer connection, permits, which include the building permit and septic abandonment permit and septic tank abandonment. Approximately, it was $48,000. The quote that our property got was over $50,000. And that is for a hookup to SAC sewer with a new sewer line. The Elkhorn Manor properties have a grant through Sacramento County. Their hookups are supposedly free. However, there will be a bi-monthly charge. And that was another question. So I got the time frame and the bi-monthly billing. And the time frame is right now for billing, it's current through June 2025. The bi-monthly bill is $126.70. And through July 2025 through June 2026, the bill will actually go up to $138.70. And then July 2026 through June 2027, the bill will go up to $148.70. So those are some of the costs. I think that was questioned last time. And I have this to pass around so you guys can see the map. You can see the SAC sewer costs and all of that good stuff. So I'll start passing that around. And one thing to note is there is an ordinance. I have the verbiage. But if you're within 200 feet of that sewer line they're bringing down, supposedly it is frowned upon for Sac County to give you any repair permits on your septic tank. So if you guys can kind of read between the lines there, they pretty much want everyone to hook up. And the reason I know so much about this project is it's actually going down our property. So that's kind of how we found out about it and did the research. So just to let everyone know about that. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes.
Did they actually say you could hook up to that trunk line?
What was it?
Did they actually tell you that you could hook up to that trunk line?
If you're on West 2nd Street? Yes. Yes.
When this project first started, it started out there from the Lenars project up there at Dry Baseline and the levee. That line was contracted to Sacramento County, and it's owned by Lenars.
That's correct.
And it's going down from Sutton Road all the way down. But I talked to the Lennar contractor and the Lennar person running the project, and also the Sacramento County coordinating with them. They said that's a major trunk line. Nobody's going to hook up to it.
You are correct. So you are correct. So the one that is coming down that you're seeing now from Placer County is done by Lennar. That's strictly for their subdivision. That one cannot be hooked up. But the new one from the interceptor on Elkhorn that's coming down West 2nd, that one you can hook up to if you're on West 2nd Street. And then that one is going down our property and going into Elkhorn Manor. And the reason that we got that it's actually coming down West 2nd and not West 4th is because they're encouraging hookups on the properties on West 2nd, because there's more properties on West 2nd than West 4th Street. And the size of the parcels are the reasoning that they did not get included in the grant that the Elkhorn Manor subdivision is in. So if that kind of makes sense. It's, yes, yes. So this one, the interceptor is on Elkhorn Boulevard. It's going to run down Elkhorn Boulevard, down West 2nd Street, down West 2nd Street, all the way to our property, which is about halfway down West 2nd Street, straight down our property line, and then go into Elkhorn Manor, which is the subdivision. I don't know. It's all on the map. Yeah, it's all on the map. Yeah, it's all on the map. It's totally different than Lennar's, but you're correct. The one for Lennar you cannot hook up to, being a Relinda resident as of right now, unless something has changed. So. Nope. And they are actually I know a lot of people have complained about the roads over there that have been happening. And Sac Sewer is saying that it is contracted with a contractor with Lennar. So all those complaints are going to that contractor through Lennar.
Can you repeat the questions when they're asked because the people can only hear
Yes.
the microphone? They can't
Yes.
hear.
Sorry, I'm not used to the microphone.
That's fine.
All right.
All new.
Yes. All right. That's what we have on Sac Sewer. And then next we have the Relinda Vision Plan. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about the plan that we have here in downtown Relinda. That's what kind of brought up the incorporation talks along with Fulton El Camino's, I would say, dissolution. Just we're having to contract, we're having to pay for a lot of services, and a lot of it's coming out of our pocket, including out of Relinda Elverta Recreation and Park District's pocket, and we want to see what we can do. So a lot of questions in regards to incorporation. We're in the preliminary talks. It's just to get the information out there, talk about it. Is it feasible? Is it not feasible? And I'm grateful for everyone here. Let's go over the incorporation possibilities. I'm going to have Mike Heller take over for now and get into a discussion. And welcome, Mr. Seaman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Last month, I gave a very brief, actually it was about a 20-minute introduction on some of the steps for incorporation, what would be required. I am by no way an expert in this department, but we're going to be introducing Michael Seaman from California Unincorporated in a second. A little bit of history. California Unincorporated and Michael himself have been very vital to some of the advancements and some of the challenges going on within our community. As an example, he came up and spoke very passionately. It was 6 years ago when we lost the Panhandle, when we lost the Handle portion of the Panhandle to the city of Sacramento. It's still something that's sitting as a bitter pill with a lot of our residents. Unfortunately, it was the Park District that was bringing up a big portion of the fight because we were ready and we had plans going on for development in there. There's been talk about incorporation within the Rio Linda and Elverta communities to incorporate on the Park District boundaries, which extend out to 70 on the west, basically Watt on the east, the Sutter County line to the north, and Elkhorn to the south. It's something that we would very much would be great to become our own little city. But I am not the expert on this, so without further ado, I want to introduce Michael Seaman from California Unincorporated, who've worked with unincorporated communities to try to work towards incorporation. They've had a very recent success, and I'm going to let him tell you about that. So, Mr. Seaman.
Thank you very much. First of all, you probably noticed that we weren't able to get technology to be our friend tonight, but we have backup. So Mike's going to pass out a copy of the handouts for everybody, and then you'll be able to follow along. While he's doing that, I need to tell you that I have recently started to get over the horrible cold that's going around, and because of that, I've gone through many boxes of Kleenex this weekend, and so I can't hear anything. I'd love to answer questions, but people are probably going to have to relay them to me, maybe more than once, just because I've been blowing my nose so much, and forgive me for that. I'm just like you guys. I live nowhere. I'm in nowhere land. I live in Arden Arcade. Arden Arcade actually has a problem that's even worse than yours in that most people where I live think that we're in Sacramento, which we aren't. At least here, you know, you're in Rio Linda. So you're fortunate in that regard. But I have a lot of trouble explaining to people, no, we're not part of Sacramento. Why? I don't care about them. You know, they have vote for this guy for mayor or this guy for city council. We don't have a mayor. We don't have a city council, just like you. So in Sacramento County, there are more people who live in unincorporated urbanized places like Arden Arcade and Rio Linda and Elverta than there are living in the state of Wyoming. Now, if you think about that for a moment, Wyoming has people in Congress going to bat for them. Wyoming has its own state legislature. Wyoming has cities and counties also. So what do we have? You know, you guys have a supervisor. We have a supervisor. That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay, let's look at the quick little fact sheet. Rio Linda and Elverta together have about 22,000 people. That makes Rio Linda plus Elverta bigger than 40% of every city in California. You might think that you're a tiny little town, but you're not. Anybody here know the population of the smallest city in California? 195. Amador City. Well, but they're in charge of themselves, which is something I don't have. You guys don't have. You're not in charge of yourself. You don't get to run your own community. Amador City gets to run its community. Maybe it's small, but why are they special and you're not? Why do they have more privileges and rights than you or I do? So part of the problem is that your boss, your God, you have a new God, Rosario. She's the supervisor in charge of you, and you are but you're not even 8% of her constituency. So when you go to her and say, look, I care passionately about this, this needs to be fixed, I need this done, she says, yeah, but I got to listen to all these other people too. And she's right. So the basic problem with counties is they're responsible for a lot of important area-wide roles, like voting, collecting taxes, running the jail, the court system. They have important area-wide roles, but they also are responsible for the municipal services everywhere that's unincorporated. And so how do you separate those? It's really confusing, and normal people are like, wait a minute, what's going on here? All right, so the other factor, of course, is that I know you guys know developers would love to run steamrollers over you. There's always a shortage of new land, and you've got the land, and it's handy to the metro area. It's a lot closer than other places are. So then the basic question, go to the next page. Are you satisfied with the municipal services that you get from the county? Now, that's up to you. I mean, maybe you're good with potholes. In some cases, they slow traffic down. But other people don't like it because they're constantly having to get new tires and new struts and shocks. So there's a whole bunch of things that the county does that you might wonder, gosh, is there a better way to do it? Are we getting a fair deal? Roughly, I don't have any data on this, but approximately the return on investment for $1 of municipal tax money, not area-wide tax, but just the municipal tax money, you get about 40 cents back. That's not a good return on investment. the state does not require counties to be honest about how much money they spend providing municipal services in specific unincorporated areas. Counties will tell you, this is how much we spend on the unincorporated area, but for all you know, they're spending it all in Fair Oaks. So the fundamental question then is local control. Who runs your community? Who makes the decisions about your community? Who sets the course for the future of your community? Is it you? Is it you looking out for your kids and your heirs and your future generations? Or is it somebody else? Maybe that somebody else lives in Arden Oaks and is named Angelo and has built very nice houses all over the Central Valley. I don't know. But that's a decision that only you can make. Let's go to the next slide. Cities versus unincorporated communities. In general, cities are supposed to deal with city stuff, urbanized things, and counties are supposed to deal with rural things like cows and forest and farms. And yeah, there's still a few cows in the vicinity here, but I don't see them out here. That looks to me like an urbanized area out that window. I mentioned that there were 600,000 people, more than 600,000 people in Sacramento County who live in urbanized, unincorporated areas. In the state, it's more like 5 to 6 million. Think about that for a moment. 39 million people in California, 5 to 6 million of whom do not have the same rights and privileges as the people who live in cities, as the businesses who operate in cities. That's really the antithesis of local control, and it's undemocratic and it's unfair. California Unincorporated, the next slide, wants to change that. We have recently become a 501c4 nonprofit, which means we get to speak up and advocate for things, and it's starting to make a little bit of a difference, I think. Back in 2015, I think it was, the Advocates for Arden Arcade, which is a group comparable to yours, invited a speaker from the League of California Cities to come and tell us about the financial stuff. And the upshot of his talk was, he said, you guys are never going to get anywhere until you buddy up with people elsewhere in the state who have your same problem. Because the reality is, legislatures, 3/4 of them involve some part of LA County. So you've got to find ways to reach California Unincorporated. We've now grown to 24 different communities in 13 different counties. And we actually have an alumni club now, Mountain House. California hasn't had a new city since 2011, until just last year when Mountain House was incorporated. Mountain House is different. The county deliberately planned for Mountain House to become a city. The county paid for Mountain House to grow. The county paid for the staff in Mountain House to run the place. And the county has been happily doing that because they don't want to be burdened with the municipal services that are required from the new city. Mountain House still did not get some of the funding that every other city has. And I won't go into detail on that, but basically they're not happy. And so they're still working with us. Even though they're an incorporated city, they're saying, look, we have the same problem you guys have. We got to get this fixed. in a nutshell, all we're trying to do is reform the incorporation process. We want to make it easier and cheaper for cities to form where it makes sense to form cities. And right now, it's very, very difficult to do that. We also would like to see some reform in basic governance. You said you're on the CPAC? As far as I know, the CPACs in Sacramento County are all appointed.
They're all what?
Appointed. So were you appointed? And that's great. I mean, the CPACs are volunteer groups anyway, and we really appreciate the work that they do. And the job of a CPAC is to advise the people who have the power to make decisions. Around most of the state, they're called municipal advisory councils, or MACs. In this county, they're called CPACs, but it's the same thing. In Los Angeles County, they're called town councils. We're all familiar with the fires in Southern California, burned down Pacific Palisades, also burned down Altadena. Altadena is one of our participating communities. Altadena has an elected town council, a town council that is responsible to the people that elected them. So if somebody says to the town council, you need to listen to me, I'm a voter, they listen. And then the town council says to the supervisor in LA County that they report to, we don't care what you think, this is what the people said. We're here to tell you what the people said. Now, I know nothing about the CPAC in Rio Linda other than that there's a very nice person who sits on it who's in this room tonight. That's all I know. But I'll tell you about my own CPAC. They're a bunch of lobbyists who work in the Capitol building, and they could care less about my community. They tend to live in the privileged parts of my community, not the less privileged. They have no clue what goes on. They are slaves to all of the businesses who walk in and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. And every time the citizens say, wait a minute, what about that? What about this? It is going to burden us. It's like, well, never mind, the businesses need this. So they're listening to the supervisor who appointed them, not necessarily the citizens of the community. My CPAC is not doing its job of listening and advising. So we'd love to see more elected advisory bodies across California, whether they're MACs or CPACs or town councils. Roughly about a third of them in California are elected by the people. Elsewhere, they're appointed. We would also like to see counties have to come clean about how much money they're spending in your community versus some other community. And then finally, let's talk about special districts for a moment. If you started an incorporation process and said, let's get rid of the Rec and Park District and become a city, how's Mike going to feel about that? Well, I don't know. Mike's kind of, let me restate that. How's a member of the board of directors like Stacy used to be feel about that? Okay. So one of the basic principles in California Incorporated is no harm comes to any special district as a result of an incorporation. It is entirely up to the special district to make the decision about whether it wants to continue to be what it is or merge with the city. That's their business. It's not the business of the new city. All we're really talking about then with an incorporation is swapping things with the county. Let's go to the next slide. Are counties up to the job? My supervisor says no. Rich Desmond on the County Board of Supervisors routinely says to the public in public meetings when they complain about potholes or stray dogs or homeless or whatever, he says, hey, the county's got so much on its plate. I'm sorry, we're just not up to the job. He's honest about that. He's so much better than his predecessor. The guy in the picture there is a supervisor from Humboldt County who represents the northern part of Humboldt County, and that includes McKinleyville. Humboldt County has 7 incorporated cities. The second largest urbanized settlement in Humboldt County is unincorporated McKinleyville. They've got cities that go all the way down, I think it's 430 some, that are in Steve Madrone's district. I was there when he said in public, if the county is making money providing municipal services to a community, it should either improve the services delivered or return the profits to the citizens of that community. And if the county is losing money providing municipal services, it should get out of the way and let somebody else do it. His budget guy was in the same room, and you could just see him blanch when he said that. The job of any budget shop anywhere is to keep everybody else at arm's length so they can do whatever the governing body says. And the last thing the counties want to do is to come clean and say, no, we're doing a lousy job. They're not about to say that. However, Supervisor Madrone has approached the CEO of the the County Supervisors Association of California. That's all 58 counties. And he said to them, we really need to get this monkey of municipal control off our back because it's getting in the way of our ability to deliver area-wide services. And the CEO at CSAC said, you're right. Let's get a group together and start discussing that. And Supervisor Desmond, my supervisor, has said he wants to do that too. Now, obviously, there's a long way to go before we get everybody, a majority, a big enough group to agree to that. But frankly, the county's not the bad guy in all of this. I often speak ill of Sacramento County. They richly deserve it, I think. However, I'm not doing that because they're bad. The reason I think that Sacramento County is awful is because the state legislature is constantly burdening them with things they have to do, and the county doesn't really have a way to pay for it. Let's think about that for a minute. Under the Constitution, counties have to do whatever the state tells them. If the county says, if the state says, we don't want to spend money on prisoners anymore, here, you take our prisoners and put them in your jails. Of course, county sheriffs are all going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. But in reality, when the state says counties jump, the counties have no choice but to ask how high. And so typically the state will provide some kind of blow softener, like a 3-year grant program or a one-time infusion of cash that will basically help the counties muddle through. Cities don't have to do whatever the state tells them. Cities have to do whatever their voters tell them. So that's a real difference. If you become a city, it means you have power. You get to make the decisions. You get to say yes or no to whatever it is, instead of some speculator from outside the area saying, this is what we're going to do, and then trying to convince you through a PR program what a swell thing it is. Now, having power doesn't mean that it's free. There's all kinds of costs that come with having power, but it's you guys making the decision. And you're going to see the city council members in the convenience store across the street. You're going to see them in here. You're going to see them in the parks on a routine, recurring basis. You'll see them at youth soccer. You'll see them at church. That's different. When are you going to see your supervisor? When she schedules a town hall, maybe one of these days, right? Okay, so an easy example to think about is garbage. How much you guys pay for the county to pick up your garbage? Yeah, I haven't looked at the data for this week, but a year ago, it's like it's shown here on the slide. Basically, it's around $38 for a 60-gallon can. You get green waste once a week now, and one green waste once a week, one garbage once a week, and one recycling every 2 weeks. And if you want to spend less, you can get a smaller and smaller garbage can. The county has a monopoly. Under state law, the county gets to not only pick up your garbage, but also throw it away. And so they determine the price of everything. In the cities, there's competition. If you were a city, you could put it out to bid, provide garbage services for my community. Give me your bids. And that's what the cities shown here have done. And lo and behold, they get cheaper service and better service. So that's just one example. Let's go to the next page. How do you gain local control? Well, right now, you're required to go through the Local Agency Formation Commission, or LAFCO. Mike, is Charlie still the alternative on?
Charlie is still the alternative, and we also have one of our board members on the SDAC.
That's awesome. You have stealthily acquired power. The members of LAFCO are not elected. They do not respond to you, except in cases when you've stealthily acquired the power. LAFCO tends to be run by the city of Sacramento and the county of Sacramento. And so if you want to do something that they don't want, you can forget it. That's been our experience. LAFCO deliberately, when Arden Arcade tried to incorporate in 2010, LAFCO deliberately told the incorporation committee that they had to include neighborhoods that they'd already excluded because they'd talked to those neighborhoods and learned the neighborhoods didn't want to do it. But LAFCO said, oh no, those no voters must be included. Well, that's a political game. It's a political thing. It's not about what's best for anybody's community. So it's a broken process. California Unincorporated is trying to fix that process. It's an uphill slog, but we are making some progress. In addition to the stealth success that the Park District has had, getting a voice of a kind on LAFCO, Supervisor Desmond continues to be on it, I think. His term expired, but he told me he was being reappointed. And he's pro-incorporation. He tells people this. Okay, who else? Senator Ashby. I know there are people here that are not big fans of Senator Ashby because of the way she hurt the Park District. On the other hand, she is where she is. And she's there for at least another, 5 years? right? So you're stuck with her. And it's a two-way street. She's stuck with you. So she has to represent you for the remainder of her term. Go talk to her. Tell her what she needs to do to get reelected. Likewise, Maggie Krell. Maggie's a friend of mine. I've known her for a long time. I've even walked precincts for her. I'm not happy with her right now because when I've mentioned, gee, Maggie, 31% of your constituency is in the unincorporated community. It would really be great if you'd pay attention to them. And she said, I'll get to it later. No, Maggie, you need to get to it now, along with everything else you need to get to now. That's the unfortunate part of being elected to these positions. You've got to pay attention to everything. So reach out to her as well. If it's just me, that's one thing. But if it's me plus you guys, that's another. And then finally, what about your supervisor? Her roots are in Folsom. Her district goes way down, well below Rancho Cordova, way out in the Scott Road end of things, which I would argue is quite a different environment than the issues that pertain and matter here. But despite that, she's responsible for your area. So teach her. Teach her. Not just have her staff come and have happy talk at lunch on once a month, but teach her why you guys matter and why she needs to pay attention to you instead of always focusing on Folsom and Citrus Heights and Rancho Cordova. Once you become a city, all the tax money you currently pay to the county for municipal services will be redirected to you. There's absolutely no increase in local taxes as a result of incorporation. It just shifts the payment from the county to the new city. So then you have control over what are you going to do with those things. And in addition, though, you'll get a voice that you don't have. You'll be able to sit on various groups that cities are allowed to sit on. You'll be able to seek funding from grant programs and funding sources that are only made available for cities. So let's go to the last slide. What's next? Probably step one is you need to do what Arden Arcade did, and that's form a 501c3 community education group that will inform the community about what's going on and what the alternatives are and what the situation is. We found that to be very helpful in Arden Arcade. The Advocates for Arden Arcade is a 501c3, and I'm active in it. We are not allowed to campaign for anything. So I can't go out and say, hey, everybody, on behalf of Advocates for Arden Arcade, please vote for us to become a city. We're not allowed to do that. You need a separate group for that, a 501c4. In the meantime, Rio Linda, Elverta is already a participating community within California Unincorporated, which means that you can use the website to your strategic advantage. If you decide to become active and passionate about it, I'd be happy to teach whoever it is, the 2 or 3 people, how easy it is to write your own web pages so you could start to talk about issues that matter very locally here, and then you could just tell your neighbors, hey, just go to that web page, and you won't have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. California Unincorporated, of course, is going to support you, provide networking, hook you up with other people. I mean, I'm here because you're already part of California Unincorporated, we care about you. So we would love to see you get linked up with Antelope, which is also a participating community. It might make sense to have everything from Antelope all the way over to 99 be part of the city, or it might not. I mean, I'm not going to make a decision like that. Only local people should make that decision. I am the chair of our 501c4. The treasurer of our 501c4 lives in Antelope. So we're here to help you and in any way. And then finally, there are things you really need to be doing now, which is show up at the Board of Supervisors, stomp your feet, pound on the desk, testify, say, look, I'm sick and tired of this and this and this, or I wish this would happen. When was the last time your community plan was revised? Anybody know? You must know. Do you even have a community plan? Arden Arcade's community plan is 40 years old. A community plan is supposed to provide a vision for a community. So here we are in 2025 trying to explain how we want to become like 1970. This makes no sense. There's this handout on pros and cons of becoming a small town. That's really what you guys should be talking about.
Yeah, so I want to thank Jennifer Holman with Bodie Family Boxing put that together, the pros and cons for us to review. And I want to thank you so much. I've had the honor to work with Mr. Seaman with special districts with the Rolanda Elverta Recreation and Park District, and he is a wealth of knowledge. So I'm so grateful that you are here tonight. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And does anybody have any questions for him while he is here?
There was a question online. Somebody said, well, shoot, where's the question? See the question now. Once we incorporate it, is that it, or do we have to renew incorporation periodically?
No, that's it. Once you become a city, you're a city unless you decide on your own that you don't want to be a city anymore.
Anybody else have questions? Anybody else have answers?
Thank you. No, thank you. That I've learned a lot tonight. So thank you so much. I know we always get a lot of inquiries and about the county and how do we get more services, and I think that kind of bundles everything up in one. Yes.
When I made up the PowerPoint, I stupidly left off our website. It is caunincorporated.com. All lowercase.
.com. Yes. And I know it's kind of spurred this conversation, I think. I know Jennifer has dealt with our downtown Rolanda special planning area ordinance. And John Todd has really been working on this as well. And this was adopted in November of 2015. So that was kind of our community plan, which is really outdated. We've been talking about how outdated it is, and I know Jennifer brought it up at our meet and greet with Supervisor Rodriguez about how to get this revised for us in this downtown area. So we will be reviewing that. If you guys are interested in incorporation, what it would take, the cost for this town, etc., if you could please private message our Facebook page, which is Rolanda Elverta Neighborhood Association, and just put a message on there. It'll go to John, Todd, and I, and we're kind of just in the very much pre-workings of this. I know Jennifer's working on it as well, but we just kind of want to do some research just so we can have it. And I know Michael Seaman has offered to help us out as well, but we need people. That's what we desperately need. So if you are interested in helping, if you want to find out more, please private message our Facebook page, Rolanda Elverta Neighborhood Association, or you can private message John Todd or me as well to get involved. So I want to thank Mike Heller as well with Rolanda Elverta Recreation and Park District and his board of directors who have been working, I know Troy's here, who have been working tirelessly on providing police services for us down here. And he's been helping us out with the incorporation talks. So I appreciate that. And there's a lot to be talked about. So I appreciate everyone that is here tonight. And I will say, Senator, you brought up Senator Ashby, and I met with her, and I also met with one of her area representatives, with John Todd, and it was an amazing conversation. And we put the top 5 things we needed work on in this town, and she's currently working on all those 5. And they went right to work on the first one, and it was accomplished. So I want to thank Senator Ashby, and she's really receptive. So if you guys want to reach out to her, her staff will get back to you. It's been amazing working with her lately, so I'm grateful for her support for this town. And you don't see that a lot. Lastly, I wanted to just let everyone know why they're here. I did get the confirmation. National Night Out is going to be happening here again. It'll be Tuesday, August 5th this year. The Neighborhood Association always puts that on. We're going to be doing it again this year. Location is to be determined. We're going to kind of talk to you guys, do a little poll from the community, and see if we want to do it at the pool again or if we want to do it at the Rolanda Elementary School site. So those are just some of the options.
Who do I talk to about the heat?
The heat? I don't know. It was hot last year. It was really hot. But again, if you guys are interested in helping with incorporation, we need all the bodies that we can get. Just, typing letters, doing research. There's a lot of forms, starting a nonprofit, as he said, and also revising this document right here that we're going to have to work on with the county. So it's going to be a lot of work. So please private message us if you are interested. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or future agenda items they would like to see at one of our meetings?
Just a couple of announcements. The Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District's Spring Summer Activity Guide is out online. Every resident and business locally will be receiving a postcard in the next few weeks. You'll also notice when that postcard comes in, there's going to be a little starburst on there announcing our strategic plan, open forum work plan, which will be Wednesday, March 19th at our monthly Board of Directors meeting over at the Depot at 6 p.m. We encourage everybody to attend to see what's going on with the Recreation Park District as we bring our strategic plan in, and this is our first update since 2008. So this will be our guide for the next 4 to 5 years after our Board of Directors approves it.
Anyone else? All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Don't forget, our meetings are the 4th Monday of every month here at Tummy's at 6:30 p.m. And I'll end it with every day is your chance to make this town a little better, which is our quote for the Rolanda Elverta Neighborhood Association. So thank you all for being here tonight and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.